So we good? All right. So first and foremost, man, thank you for what you shared today and even what you shared on Wednesday. I wanted to have the opportunity to sit down with you one-on-one and ask some questions, but couldn't do it this week dealing with some things. So inshallah, hopefully I'll give you a call and we'll actually talk, right? So it's funny. I woke up. What was that, Tuesday morning? I think you texted me. So I woke up Tuesday morning, I saw Brother Brent. Not Brother Brent, there's a Brother Brent now, see Brother Ben. And funny, I sent Brother Brent a text message I was meant to send to you this week, but Brother Ben was saying that, he's like, I'm in the city of New Orleans, so I immediately was like, man, while you're here, you gotta do something. And when I talked to Brother, we initiated with Wednesday, he spoke, and those who were here enjoyed that. What he shared today, and this is, we do this pretty much with everybody who comes to the city. We first started off with people who do like another lecture, but we invited someone in, and I realized at that moment that it's best to do like an interview. So the first person we actually had to sit down and do the interview with was Brother Don, and it's probably one of my favorites. So how this started, I had the opportunity to sit at the dinner table with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in Houston, and Sister Claudette had just wrote a book. If you don't have a book, we're going to make sure we give you, your wife, and your children some copies of it. Make sure we get them a copy of the books.
Yes, sir.
Parting gifts, right? So, and the minister was sharing about how he wrote the foreword to the book, but he was saying how he never really gets the opportunity to hear our stories. And Brother Robert, now Abdul Halim, started sharing his story. And after sitting at that table, I left and I said, man, I would love for a way for the minister to be able to hear the testimony of the believers here in our mosque. So those believers who wanted to participate typed up their testimonies. We sent the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan a book that had our testimonies in it. But what's interesting, as I began to start doing these testimonies, I spoke to a brother Rashad, and there was a sister who's not in the nation, but she has a very powerful testimony as it relates to how the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan really helped her with healing. And I'll send that to you. But as I began to think back, man, Allah has always had me on this path of recording people's testimonies, especially as it relates to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I think one of the things I think personally, in my opinion, we do a disservice to the minister when we just always pointing to the minister, And there's a lot of things that we should honor about the minister. But we don't realize that Allah has called us to be his helpers. So when Jesus asks us in the Quran, he said, who are my helpers in Islam? And so like the minister is looking for our greatness, right? Like every teacher is looking for their student to do something great. And I just realized that like in our lessons they talk about Musa having 59,999 books. And one day I was reading it and it would make me realize this is not talking about books per se. It's talking about people. So every believer has a testimony. And Allah says in the Bible, and Jesus says, he says that the Satan was defeated, or the dragon was defeated by the blood of the Lamb and the power of their testimony. So this is where we're here. This is a place where you can be open. This is this is a strive our best to be a non-judgmental zone. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we create an environment where we expect people to be perfect, right? And we never give people the opportunity to be their real selves. And as long as we're not there, that's not real. You know, and we put all type of undue pressures on people. So just feel relaxed, you know. Now sometimes you don't strike me as having like a cookie cutter responses. You know, just be real, man, because in being real, there's stuff that other people in here sitting you are dealing with. And you don't know in regards to how your testimony can help all of us to defeat Satan, right? And that's to defeat the dragon. So briefly, and then certain times on your period, I was like, man, he about to go into, we're not going to be able to ask the question. You was about to say something on the roster, and I was like, oh, go fast. So briefly, just what's your background? Where were you born? How many siblings? Stuff like that.
Well, I was born in prison.
Where you was born in prison, for real?
Yeah, I was born in prison in Galveston. And then 10 days later, who I call mom now, she picked me up 10 days later, which is my biological mother's cousin. I have 21 brothers and sisters biologically. I only know of 6 of them. 4 of them I am aware of and I have actually spent a lot of time with. Actually, if anybody have ever seen my videos where I play different characters in a car, or just different characters, period, when I'm talking to myself, the root of that is I always wanted brothers and sisters that I stayed with. So although I had 21 biological brothers and sisters, and 6 of them I know of, 4 of them I actually know, 3 of them stayed in East Texas, 1 stayed in Fort Worth, and then I stayed in Fort Worth and Dallas, but I never stayed with any of them. Only when I went to East Texas, maybe during the summertime, just to spend time with them. So instead of me crying about not having a brother and sister, I made one. So I began talking to myself. The conversations I had in my head, I would just begin to talk to myself. So the root of me creating those different characters in my skits is because I always wanted them, or I always wanted to grow up actually with them.
So how did you say he was born in prison? Explain that.
I mean,
like your mother was in prison?
Yeah, so I believe she did crack. I recall having one. I mean, that's pretty much. I knew she was on drugs or whatever. I don't know why she was in prison that particular time. I recall having a dream when I was real young, maybe at the age of, I have no idea what the age was, but I had a dream. In a dream, she was crying out, and she said, "They're trying to kill me." And that's the only thing I remember, really, from her. My mom now told me that when she took me over there to spend time with her, maybe around the age of 5, I was crying too much. So she told my mom now to come back and get me the next day. And that's pretty much it. I was born in prison, and
you haven't had any contact with your biological mother since?
Yeah, they're dead now. So my biological father, I met my biological father for the first time in his casket. I recall seeing my biological mother one time when she took me over there, maybe around the age of 5 years old, and that was pretty much it.
You know that about you. It was a step down when you said that part. This is what we have these. So how did you come to join the Nation of Islam? Now you can get the full.
Well, Brother Malik, he came and spoke in my school about the role of the male and the female. I was in a class called Black Studies, and he was speaking about the role of the male and the female, and I was filming. And he didn't know I was filming this whole time. I was filming him the whole time, and I put together his lecture with Tupac because he was speaking about the man is the provider. He was talking about how any scripture you go through, the man is the provider, the woman is the help me. And my mom now, she made a lot of sacrifices. I always seen her sacrifice. She always made the statement, I bust my A word, so y'all can have everything. I never seen her just going out buying things for herself. She was always sacrificing for my family. For the family, even when my dad was working, I always respected her, I knew she was going to always be the one that gets things. And then my dad, now, he got his leg amputated. He was working for the city. And one of those little things, I don't know what they call, spit out a metal thing and it hit him. And he had to get his leg cut off. So she pretty much has been carrying the family with the jobs that she has been on. And yeah.
So when Brother Malik came, and after that you came up to Brother Malik and said you wanted him to be your mentor.
Yeah. So he wanted. I wanted him to be my mentor. So I reached out to him, and through email. So I got his email, and I noticed that he was an entrepreneur. I was always into entrepreneurship as well, and like I always say, I didn't sell weed or crack or anything like that, but I was flipping honey buns and hot Cheetos and stuff like that at school because my mom would go get me boxes of Skittles. You got the honey buns. I had the fruit snacks, all kind of stuff, Gatorades, and I would sell it for $1 at the school. And so because he had his own school, when I went off to college, we stayed in contact. And he was one of the brothers who supported me, of course, in joining the Nation of Islam. But I was in a valley of decision because I had started to fall out of love with basketball at that time. I started to feel a lot better when I woke somebody up rather than, scoring a lot of points. People was happy with that. So when I dropped out of college, he said, I can only tell you the consequences that may happen, but either way, I'm going to always support you. And that was something that I needed because I always wanted to be a businessman as well. And it seemed like a lot of people wanted to force me into own these sports, but I was also interested in the camera. So I was always making YouTube videos already before I joined the Nation of Islam. But when I joined the Nation of Islam, I just put the teachings in the videos and the skits and stuff that I was already doing. So when I left college, he gave me a job at his school that they had. So I was working at the school there, And then, matter of fact, around that time, he began to tell me to check out the minister, the time what must be done. And at that time, I didn't understand what the minister was talking about. He was talking about, the different wars that we was in, and I didn't care nothing about no wars. I just cared about basketball. And so when I began to watch Muhammad Ali, I was more attracted to Muhammad Ali because, of course, he had the personality. He was funny. He made jokes and stuff, but he was still stern and was real firm with the truth. So I was attracted to him. And then once I saw the minister's full lectures, he began to answer questions that I had about the Bible and about the scripture. And then after that, that's what brought me in, seeing the brothers going to the door to door. Oftentimes when you in Christianity or Baptist or whatever, those type of people are looked down upon, or you got tattoos, or you sag, and why you didn't come to church. But the mosque, or the brothers as an FOI, they went to those brothers. And when I read that Jesus was in the highways and the byways, and Jesus sat with the sinners, I said, well, this seems more of what Jesus would be doing.
A lot more.
So upon your, so if y'all want to clap, you can clap. So what has been some of your greatest benefits you feel that you have experienced since joining the Nation of Islam?
To me, having the medicine to use, because I tell people all the time, joining the Nation of Islam doesn't mean that problems is going to stop.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you're not going to have any struggles. In fact, I think it increases. But the scripture bears witness to that. So I never got anybody that lied on me and all this different stuff that's happening until I joined the Nation of Islam, even with my family. And one of the scriptures that I stayed, that I nursed on was when it says that he was going to come and he would divide the mother-in-law with the father-in-law, or the mother-in-law with the daughter-in-law, and all these different things, and that he would divide. And Brother Malik said it's not that Jesus was going out being messy and nothing like that, it's that the truth is what divided them. And it wasn't until I got this truth that I began to be lied on, hated on, persecuted for his name's sake, just for saying Farrakhan. The family, we didn't have any disagreements religiously until I joined the Nation of Islam. We weren't going to the church anyway. So, and then now I think I know the scripture a lot better than they do. As scriptures, a lot of people who had a problem with it. In fact, some people didn't even reach out to me, like certain family members. Like, I really, honestly, only know about 20% of my family. I don't know a lot of them. But certain people would inbox me and say, look, here's the difference between Islam and Christianity. I'm like, dude, y'all never inboxed me about Jesus Christ or nothing before I joined the Nation of Islam. So to me, that was proof that I was also following the right thing. But to me, I always wanted to be somebody who gave and was able to help people. Maybe it's because of how I was raised or whatever, but I had a show on YouTube called Wise Wednesdays. And I wasn't too wise. I was just telling people, keep working, God gonna work it out and pray. But when I got the teachings, I was able to give them detailed things that they can do to fix their lives, not only fix their lives, but fix my life. I've been in contact with people who said that they wanted to commit suicide. I've been in contact with people that, just was down and out, and they said that the teachings and the videos that I make has helped them. So for me, in serving my people, that's really where I get benefit out of, because I always felt like even if I was homeless, I actually want to do this experiment maybe when my children are older. I want to do an experiment where I'm homeless maybe for a month and I show how I can survive, because I always felt like I was always good, but so I always want to help other people. So in me helping other people, that's what made me whole, I believe. So how the teachings helped me, it has given me the tools to help everybody else.
Can you share with us from your perspective, how powerful do you believe that the internet and social media is?
I think it's very powerful. I actually think it's what the lessons is talking about when it talks about modern technology that will be able to increase the speed of us being able to unlock the rusty locks in our people, and I believe that is the mind. And with social media, I just put it this way. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had 1 million men show up to the mall, and that's very powerful. And the minister has spoke to 50,000 people, 40,000 people. But the minister now is able to speak to 50,000 people 3 times a day, 4 times a day, as many times a day. So when I go live on Facebook, I'll be having 1,000 people tuned in on a Saturday night, on a Friday night, when people usually go to the club, it's 1,000 people tuned in, and after we get done, I look at the views, 20,000, 40,000, 50,000. So he is literally speaking to all these people at scale. Speaking about the power of something, power is what? Distance divided by time, right? So if he's able to reach this amount of people in a less amount of time, the minister can be speaking to somebody while he's speaking to somebody. He can be on the plane going to speak to somebody while I'm live streaming him speaking to somebody. And I think that's powerful. Even when you think about a business, what makes a business powerful? What makes a business powerful is when you're able to scale. I can press up t-shirts and I can be doing it all myself, but if I got somebody that's hired and these t-shirts is being made at a accelerated rate, whether if I'm there or not, that makes my business more powerful. So being that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan can literally be asleep, but be up talking to human beings and then be changing their lives, I don't think it's nothing more powerful than that.
Yes, sir. Wow.
You had the opportunity of meeting the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on some occasions. Can you tell us several questions? One, how was that experience, and what were some of the things that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan shared with you that stood out?
Well, I don't know how to explain that type of experience besides it was blacktastic. But I was just, the energy, I don't know what it was about the video, but there were several people who watched the video and actually said that they felt like they was in the room, or they felt the energy, or they cried watching the video for whatever reason. It was like meeting the father that I always wanted to meet, actually, because I used to always think about what my father would do, my biological father. But being that the minister is who he is, I look up to him as a spiritual father as well. And I always say he saved my life. And it's not that, I was out there selling drugs, about to get killed and nothing like that, but the scripture says that God is love. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that you can interchange the O or the O with the I and the V with F. And when you have God, you truly have life. And it wasn't until I got the reality of God through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that I got the life that I was looking for. And so with that, meeting the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he always tries to show you, or he does show you, how great you are. Oftentimes people who are celebrities, it's always about them, and you notice that they have like a uppity attitude, like they don't want to take pictures, or they just real mean to everybody around them. But the minister is actually very nice. When I first met him, the very first time, it's on film, a lot of people seen the video, I didn't know if I could hug him or not, and so maybe he felt that, and he said, "Come on in here and give me a hug, boy." So I gave him a hug, and we were just smiling, and then I remember him saying, he says, "May Allah continue to bless you to go all the way up," and then at the end he says, "Become a millionaire so I can borrow $1." So he was aware of the work that I was doing on YouTube, and people often say, "Brother Ben, do you notice the jealousy? Do you notice the envy?" And honestly, I don't. I be so focused, I don't, even if they is saying it, I don't even see it. But hearing the minister say that, that he's aware of that and go as far as you can, it really validated in me, okay, I'm doing the right thing, I'm going the right way. Because one of the questions that I had was, what does he want me to do? Because I'm just, here to be a servant. So I'm wondering, what does he exactly want me to do? And in my first meeting with him, he said, "I don't know what else to say." And to me, that was him saying, "Keep doing what you're already doing." And so with that, that's just, I just didn't know what to say. And obviously, he didn't know what to say either. So it was just interesting and a great time for me to actually meet him. Because I often tell people, they say, "I want to meet the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I want to meet him." That wasn't necessary. I mean, of course, we all want to meet him, but that wasn't like something that was really on my mind like that. Because I believe when you get to Closing the Gap book, it says the heart, mind, and soul of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And being that the minister said, "I can't die," his finite body is going to go, but his infinite or infinite wisdom is not going to go. So I had already met him by reading his book. I had already met him by looking at the lectures, and by doing the work, by meeting him spiritually. I think that is what made or led me to meeting him physically.
Wow.
So, you've been in the nation for how long?
5 years. February 21st will be 5 years.
Right. And just like you mentioned how sometimes people may think that just because you join the nation, that means that you have no problem, but you end up in this, because we're in this process of self-improvement, you kind of begin to start realizing all of the stuff that we need to work on. For some people, that can be overwhelming because it's like it's never a rest moment. It's always something I got to work on. It's always some pull, and it can be draining and it can be spirit killing. It can take away from people's desire to stay in that process. So, what has helped you to stay in these 5 years?
Before I answer that question, there's another thing that happened at the dinner table the last time I met the minister. People always talk about how the minister can read minds, and I don't know if it was spooky or not, but now I know it's not. So I'm at the table with the minister, and you know how we're supposed to eat our food a certain way, so we use the spoon and the fork and all that different stuff. And so the bread was on the left side of the table, so I didn't know that was mine. And so I'm eating, and the whole time I'm eating, I'm like, is this my bread? And out of nowhere, like the third time I thought that, the minister tapped me and said, I think that's yours, brother. So
Any other stories?
No, I think that's it.
You
That
sure?
was the most, the minister is very funny. A lot of people see how stern he is in teaching, but really, he makes us laugh and makes us feel very comfortable. And one thing I noticed about the minister, he gets down to the root of things. They was talking about the NFA app at the time. And Brother Amir was talking about some of the difficulties that they had. And the minister was asking stuff that you wouldn't even think of. He was like, who made that? Who made the app? Where are they from? Wow. What was their energy when they made the phone call? And he was like, And he was like asking stuff like, so how long ago did it take? How much did you send them? So he's trying to get to the root of the motive, and I heard the minister say all the time, he doesn't just listen to a man, he listens to the motive of them. And by watching him during that conversation I saw him have, it shows me that he's always striving to get to the root of things and not just the surface level things that people give him. So that was interesting. So I do the same thing now when somebody's bringing me something, I always try to get to the root of it. But to go back to your question about how do I stay in it? To me, man, again, my mission, I believe I have taken on the mission of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is to give life to the dead, which is why I always bring up, why do we join the Nation of Islam? And if we join the Nation of Islam for a shallow reason, then we should realign that, because I don't see how people can get bored when there's so much for us to do. So if it's like me playing basketball, I scored 10 points, I scored 15 points. Well, I want to score 40. I want to score 45. If I score 45, Kobe scored 81. So I want to get to 81. So being that this is truly the mission, yes, I get down sometimes. Our people are something. If the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that he turned and he was going to be on that train going back, then who are we to not know? So for me, I do get down sometimes, being that there's so many lies out there about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. What I've learned to manage my time, because when I first came in, I was searching Louis Farrakhan, see if anybody say something wrong so I could go debate them, or not debate them, but debunk what they're saying. And what I found is a lot of people know the truth about Malcolm X. A lot of people know the truth. They're just saying things for views, and they want to get under our skin. But what keeps me going is seeing the people rise. So like if I'm down, and it's crazy because Allah, I don't know, man, Allah always knows when to send me a testimony. So if I'm down because a brother not listening or somebody done said something, I get a testimony that says, Brother Ben, I joined the Nation of Islam. I get a testimony that says, Brother Ben X, man, my son is looking at you. My son is starting to change. You and the minister are like uncles and fathers to him. Or somebody say, man, I was about to commit suicide, man, and y'all saved my life. So I think those things is what keeps me going. And when you think about somebody who's on their deathbed, they usually have the ball going like this. So if I'm just stagnant, I'm just coming to the mosque on Wednesday just so I can be active. If I'm coming just once a month, just so I can be considered active, that's boring. But when I'm doing the work, that's interesting. So even with the teachings, when I'm going out, everybody got a different problem. So it's always making me constantly study. But if I'm not engaged with the work, if I'm not engaged with the people, there's nothing for me to be studying for. So I think the way that I've been able to accumulate so much knowledge in such a small amount of time is because on social media, people are constantly asking questions. What about this? What about this? So I got to go figure out not how I respond, how the minister responds, so I can respond properly. So now I got to watch all these lectures. I got to look at all these interviews. Now, of course, you know, I use that, put it on my YouTube and everything like that as well. So now when certain people ask questions, I don't have to respond. I know what a minister said it. Like a brother brought me a tape the other day, who is that mystery God, and he was speaking about Brother B, you got to hear this lecture. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, let me see what you're talking about. So he says, this is what a minister said, we got to get out the white man job and we can't do this. I said, oh, you talking about the one where he had the red bow tie? So I knew exactly where he was at, because I'm always in constant study, because our people are, you know, our people are dealing with sex trafficking, our people are dealing with mental health, our people are dealing with don't know who God is, what God is. So when they ask us these questions, they look at us as servants, as we said that we were. So when I'm dealing with different problems and I help this brother, it lets me know, okay, it's working. So whenever I'm getting down and a brother said that lecture that you sent me last week, it worked for me, that gives me a little bit more fuel to say, okay, I mean, I ain't got this brother yet, but it's working for somebody. And that's pretty much what keeps me going, because I'm always out trying to help somebody, and whenever somebody is helped, it gives me that confirmation to just keep going.
So what are some simple things that you can share that believers can do to help spread the teachings on social media?
First, study. Because when people ask questions, you have to know where to go get the lecture from. Go to sleep. My son, I mean, I've been on the repetition so much. My son would literally wake up in the middle of his sleep and say, I want to listen to Farrakhan. I got to listen to Farrakhan on his way to sleep. There's been times, and also live. Like some of us are robots. You know, we come to the mosque. All right, we got the study group going back home. All right, Friday, coming back home. It's almost like we becoming like the church, where it's like a ritual instead of actually having the rituals remind us of the principle. And so whenever you are living, put it this way, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about raw bread, and that certain individuals can eat the raw bread because they can digest it because they are doing the work. Well, we can digest the teachings a lot better if we are doing the work, because whenever I go do something and I'm living and I'm growing, when I come back and listen to a lecture, I say, man, I didn't hear that the first time. So you hear different things when we go through different things. And when we go through things, we have to keep in mind what we went through and how we overcame it, because a brother's going to go through the same thing. And then wherever I got the juice from or the medicine from, I can go get it from him. So if we don't teach, if we're not a minister, we don't have to. Let the minister to them through our social media pages. So we see how the minister has exalted by exalting the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We too will be exalted by exalting the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And one thing that I do, advice I would give, is the advice that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I'm pretty sure y'all know of, was at the lecture one day of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was listening to him chop up those words, and he said, don't listen to how I'm saying it, listen to what I'm saying, you put into your fine language. Well, that's simply what I do on social media. When you see me do the skits, the young brother may not listen to the minister sitting there talking or lecturing, but if I put the principles of what he's saying through a skit, they go listen to the skit, but get the teachings as well. So I'm funny. I like to be. I got a personality. I'm also into I see what people are going through, so I take what the minister is saying and put it into my fine language. So that would be the advice that I would give.
You know they have them out there. Some of them are sincerely misguided, but some of them are wackos. Some of them are envious. Some of them are jealous. What advice would you give to us who are in the Nation of Islam on the best way to respond to those who critique and attack? I ain't gonna say. I'll say attack, because we none of us are above critique. Those ones who attack and try to destroy our legacy. So what are the do's, and what are some of the do's, and what are some of the don'ts that we as believers should do as it relates to them?
Number one, I would say we should listen to them. Oftentimes, you know, we respond. Sometimes we can respond emotionally. You know, somebody make a video about the minister, just go in the comments and say he lied. You know, just go in the comments or just go down the video. Well, the minister said that we should listen to our critics, because some of us got yes men around us and they just agreeing with everything. In fact, there's a video where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is talking about the domestic life. No, it's the audio I got in the car, where the minister is talking about the domestic life, and he said Those of us who just say, well, he's the messenger of Allah, he can have multiple wives. When he's the messenger of Allah, he's God's man, so he get an excuse. He says, that's not good enough. He says what you're doing is, you're just saying that because you don't all the way understanding, and what you're going to end up doing is justifying you doing certain things, because now you're doing things without understanding. Same thing with praying. He said, yeah, damn devil can pray 5 times a day, but if you don't understand the principle that the ritual is only a reminder of, then you're going to do it with the wrong spirit. So I would say listen to them, because a lot of them, they're speaking crazy, they may be cussing, but they're also speaking about their dissatisfaction. So when they say, well, the nation ain't doing nothing, what y'all been around here 80 years, what are y'all doing? Yeah, we know we're doing something, but to me, that's a message to say we need to see more. Put it out there on social media. Yeah, y'all doing all this, but I want to see it. Show me. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the same thing. You never have to condemn a dirty glass, put a clean one next to it. So that means they need to see more clean glasses. And so when you hear people talk about the minister, if they say, y'all talk about the white man, but Master Fard Muhammad white. Y'all talk about this blue-eyed devil, but Master Fard Muhammad white. Well, to me, that's them saying, they're saying, I don't understand what y'all mean, Master Fard Muhammad is Allah. So to me, whenever they're saying something that is supposed to critique us, or it may come as something where they're hating, let's take what they're saying and then use it to our advantage and teach on it. So that is our way of seeing what they don't understand. I was going through a debate, I was looking at a debate, and some people was like, cut them off and say certain things, and we shouldn't let them on these platforms. Well, to me, we need to let opposite or opposing thoughts on the platform if we truly believe that we're gods. See, we have to check our motives. Oftentimes, we run around here talking about we're gods, and the minister said take plenty, but as soon as somebody disagrees, we cut them off. As soon as somebody disagrees, we just call them a Negro and forget about them without listening to what they're saying. If they got the same zeal to go against us or to go against that which we know is the truth, if we able to convert them or revert them, imagine what kind of zeal they're going to have once they find out that this is the truth. So oftentimes, yeah, we may get emotional, and I have as well, but then I also always strive to learn from the critique that they're giving. Like if they say we're not doing something, let's promote the schools that we have. Let's promote the people that we save. And if we're not doing nothing, then that's good that they saying something. Let's let that fire be on our backside so we can go out there and do something to produce. Just like the minister, and then the second advice that I would give is respond how the minister responds. Check out the Donahue. Check out all these different interviews where the minister's getting, I mean, they coming at the minister, white folks and all kind of stuff, black folks too. And look how he just stays and he's calm, he's smiling at them, but he's providing the actual facts. So we have to figure out, am I trying to prove to them and make them look dumb, or am I trying to win them over? Because if I'm trying to win them over, my language of trying to win them over versus just trying to make them look dumb is going to be different. So sometimes, sometimes we have to say it in a manner that's not going to insult them or make them look bad, although they're trying to insult us and make us look bad. Almost like the advice we give when we're going out with the final call. When we go out with the final call, if somebody say, man, get that S word out of my face, we're not supposed to take the bow ties off and say, man, let's scrap. The minister says, close the door or whatever, say, God bless you, brother. I'll come back later. He said what that's going to do, that's going to let them see that, oh man, God is in that brother. That brother is patient. But if we respond like them, they're going to say, see, I told you them niggas who got them bow ties on. They just faking at it. So we have to respond like they do and then take the teachings or the advice that we have been given. Take plenty. And sometimes that can be hard, but we have to take plenty, because one time a brother came at me and I was responding not like how he was responding. At the end of his message, he said, that's why I like the FOI. I was just testing you to see how you respond. So some of them are just testing us. And if we stand up to the test, they'll see what we're truly about.
So in closing, before we have anybody else have questions, well, anybody have any questions?
What sent you this way to Muhammad Mosque in 46 in New Orleans?
My family had, my wife had family out here. And she was coming to spend, she's actually been here before, And then we was coming out here, and I just let Brother Willie know I was coming, and then here I am.
So glad to have y'all.
We get y'all to move down here, brother. We always recruiting. Anybody else have a question?
Can you share your own story of how y'all met?
We actually met in middle school. We went to the same middle school. We knew of each other, and then we met up again on Facebook. And so we saw each other on Facebook, and then we his boyfriend and girlfriend. We was going to shacking up and stuff. And so we went to the mosque, Brother Malik. So we was together when Brother Malik came and spoke at my school, and then that was it from there. So I went out to college. And when I went out to college, there's a break that we have. And in that break, when I came back, we got married, and then I went back off. Mm-hmm. And so I was, trying to be the provider. I was up there selling pots and pans on through drop shipping. So what drop shipping is you can set up a website, and if somebody buys something from your website, you can have the manufacturer send it straight to them. And so that's how I made money. So I would send as much money home as I could, and then that was it from there. When I came into the nation, she came into the nation. Mm-hmm. And so,
Where's he from?
Waxahachie Study Group.
Oh.
That's a brother who was on the protest of the Korean, which we call him. Yeah, he spoke here on the Wednesday. We haven't had him on the Sunday yet. So any closing words?
My closing words would be, man, let's close the gap between us and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This can become, it is a way of life, but it can become repetitive to where we just making sure we coming on Wednesday, if we coming on Wednesday, if we coming on Friday, and let's not get caught up in using the deceptive intelligence. What do I mean by that? We know that there are 3 reasons we can miss, health, jobs, and things of that nature. So let's use the force and power that we have to make sure that we're meeting the obligations that we say we have. For example, if we got study group on Wednesday at 7:30 and on Friday at 7:30, and I get a new job and they ask me what hours do I want, don't pick 7:30 on Wednesday and 7:30 on Friday and say, well, brother, I got to work. That's deceptive intelligence. Let's use the force and power and intelligence that we have to meet our obligations that we have, because our people are truly suffering. When you get on, that's why I love social media, because it really shows what's on the mind of the people. We look good, we may be thriving, and we may say, oh man, we waking up. But it's somebody right next door that's going through depression. It's somebody right next door that needs the medicine that the minister is giving us. And on social media, you see how much work we truly need to put in. And so let's just get fired back up, man. Don't wait till Savior's Day to get in the spirit. Don't wait till Sundays to get in the spirit. It should be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and really make this a way of life, because for some of us, man, this is the only life that we have. And I like to learn from other people. I've interviewed people who said they was in the Nation of Islam. They left the Nation of Islam, and they didn't have nothing that they was running to. So as I said, man, there's 2 ways for us to learn. I can learn from myself, or I can learn from somebody else. And this is truly, I believe, the medicine. And for me, if you're born into the nation, they say opposites attract. So the world will be attractive to people who are born into the Nation of Islam, and they can go to parties and they smoking and drinking, they looking lit. But for me, I seen that. I participated in some of that. So I know the value of it, because I didn't grow up in this type of thing. And so the more work we put in, the more peace I believe that we get. And just continue to strive, man, and hold up, because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is obviously getting up in age, and he's going to leave. And the people are looking up to us to carry this thing on. Like, there's millions of people, whether we know it or not. They may not be a Muslim. They may not say or show interest, but a lot of them are looking at us on our social media. A lot of us are looking at how we secure ourselves. A lot of us are looking at how we looking at us and how we think. And so we are truly the example. And if we fall, then our people are going to fall as well. So if we truly want to see our people free, if we truly want to give life to the dead, then let's go out there and do it. And don't let deceptive intelligence, don't let this world weigh us down, because if we don't get into this, the world got something for us on Wednesdays, on Fridays, on Saturdays, on Sundays. So I don't think it's a mistake that he made by setting it up like that. You know, because the world has a gravitational pull where it's always put on us. The strip club, I can go get high, I can go drink alcohol. There's many things for me to do. But if I'm so indulged in this and the mission, it doesn't have my time. And I'll close with this. When I joined the Nation of Islam, before I joined, I always remember the double arches. If you don't know what that is, that's McDonald's. And every time I pass McDonald's, I got a number 12 with sweet and sour sauce. That's a 10-piece nugget with sweet and sour sauce. But now that I eat different, now that I think different, I don't even see it no more. So if we can get our people to change their minds, then we too will be able to change. And this is our protection as well. You know, there's no spook God. Ain't no, the wheel ain't finna, you know, be shooting every brother that's coming after you. It don't work like that. So if the minister, when the minister was in the mosque and all of the people came out and said, if he don't come out. See, the people was protecting him. So a brother who out there thinking about robbing somebody, a brother who out there thinking about killing somebody, if we get to them, we can not only save our people, but save ourselves. It may be our house that they may have shot up. It may be our car that they was thinking about stealing. So when we're going out to get our people and doing the work of Allah, that is the protection that we're looking for. Can't say, oh Allah, please let nobody rob my house. Oh Allah, please let nobody do something to me. But if I do the work that God is doing or God wants me to do, that is how I get the money, the good home, the friendship of all walks of life. Some people think when you join the nation, it's just going to be given to us. No, it's like the scripture says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will be added to you. And I think protection as well. And there has been brother that has called me, that's not in the nation, that said, brother, if you need anything, I mean anything, just call me. And it's because of the work that I'm doing, not because I just pray.
You had a question, Jay? With a safe trip home. All right. So that concludes this session of it. Thank you all.
Thank you.